if a friend of mine has got cancer and if there's an operation, would I trust the best doctor versus the best trained AI?
I am the biggest fan of Jensen Huang. There was this crash in US by a car. I'll not name the brand. I might just land up in trouble, but there was a crash. My dad was devastated. Everybody was devastated. Now the point is, who is responsible for this death of the person?
But somehow it seems that we didn't have someone like you to push the government and say, let's get GPUs in and let's build our own AI. Why do you think we missed that? The Pineapple Podcast is back. Artificial intelligence, generative AI, AI everywhere. These days, people seem so obsessed with AI. Just at the right time, we have the right guest. Meenakshi Arya is someone who worked in artificial intelligence way back in 2009. 2009? Guess what tech people were doing then? A whole bunch of stuff except AI. In those days, AI wasn't as developed as it is today. Join us as we walk through her journey from a university professor where she struggled to get GPUs to a college, right up to today where she is now Senior Director of AI Research at Accrete. An amazing journey where even at this level, she can speak to AI at such a detailed level. Oh my God, you can notice from the quiver in my voice, I am so excited to get this podcast started with. I will see you on the show.
The Pineapple Podcast has reached a certain level. Elegance, charm, maybe. But it's reached a certain quality level. Because Mario, we have Dr. Meenakshi Arya in the house today.
I'm so looking forward to this. What did you say Meenakshi is a specialist in?
Chalo, मैं चुपचाप बैठने वाला हूँ. Meenakshi knows about artificial intelligence. Go for it.
Okay. Dr. Meenakshi, it is so great for us to have an expert in artificial intelligence on the podcast today. Thank you for making it. You've had a long, illustrious journey, I believe. I want to kick this off by an event I believe you and I went to, which I saw on your LinkedIn profile, the NVIDIA AI Summit last year in Mumbai with Jensen Huang in the room. I was as, blown away as you were. Can you...
You were there?
Of course, I was there.
What was your take? What was the experience like? Was it as
Not only I was there,
magical as
of
mine?
course I was there. Okay, come.
So Mario, my journey with NVIDIA has been ever since people didn't even know the company exists. That's way back in the year 2009. I had set up the first NVIDIA CUDA lab, that is Compute Unified Device Architecture, which is the architecture that NVIDIA developed for leveraging their GPUs. And that was in the year 2009. And it's a very interesting story, which I must tell you, then I'll come back to this particular event. A random email came to me that there's this company called NVIDIA who is giving GPUs. And at that point in time, I was working for my PhD thesis on digital image processing, and my PhD work was on biometric watermarking. And I was trying to parallelize this algorithm called discrete wavelet transform. And it was really, really challenging because it required a lot of computational power and it would take hours to, do that algorithm on a CPU. So I thought, why not leverage this opportunity? I wrote back to them, I'll be very happy to have these GPUs in-house. And lo and behold, in another 10 to 15 days, I received these 3 GPUs. And it was like a great moment for the university because we had received something called as GPU, which is over and above CPU.
Wait, hold on. So this was in university?
In a university.
So you were playing around with this level of tech in a university?
Yes.
And I believe you were in India.
Yes.
GPUs, were they that expensive as they are priced today?
They were not available, Mario. They were not available. And now the challenge is GPUs require more power to turn on.
Yeah.
So all the computers that we had, all the all the underlying cabinets that we had, their SMPS was not sufficient enough to power this. So I rented a cab, took 3 of my students, one Niket, he is the Amazon AI data head right now, and 2 more of my students. We put 3 cabinets, 3 GPUs along with the rest of the paraphernalia in the car, went to Delhi, to Lajpat Nagar. What's that market where you get all the,
Lajpat
yeah,
Nagar.
so one market.
Sarojini Market or Lajpat?
No, that electronics market. Got these SMPSs upgraded, got the GPU cards fitted, came back, and what we saw was magic. Because what couldn't be rendered for days was now getting rendered, and it was amazing for me to see the power of GPUs. And that's when I actually started my journey with NVIDIA. I am the biggest fan of Jensen Huang. So right now also in my Audible, I have the book called The NVIDIA Way by Tao Chen.
Fantastic.
I have that book too.
It's amazing. You know, I am a fangirl, and the more I get to know about Jensen's vision, like I don't see anybody having seen future so clearly as he did. And what I love about him is that he's not just a technology enthusiast. His screen presence is amazing. You know, that day in the agenda, I don't know whether you saw or not, Jensen was not supposed to deliver a keynote. I don't know what happened. Why did Jensen come and deliver a keynote? But look at the spontaneity with which he brought in that DGX, the way he enthralled everybody with how their journey was, and then his connect with the audience, his connect with Mukesh Ambani. It was like amazing. For the 2 days, I didn't know where was I. It was like a fairyland for me, where you just hear about GPU, about latest technology, about how NVIDIA has disrupted everything that we ever thought of. So that conference for me had a lot of takeaways about what's going to be the future, how is NVIDIA leveraging the power of AI, or how is NVIDIA preparing everybody for that power of AI in the future.
Okay, great.
stop.
So much
Stupidity
to unpack
alert.
here. So much to unpack.
Stupidity alert. So I take stupidity alert. What is so GPUs is graphic processing units.
Yes.
And they are the next stage. That much at least I can say. What is biometric watermark?
No, but before that, I want to go back because to where the Meenakshi's journey actually began. I think quite a few of these definitions may come out.
Okay.
Come out there, right? So 2009, you're in Himachal, if I'm right.
Yes.
Digital signal processing, right? In university, in that era, that's not like the most happening thing to do. People were like, let me build a website, let me get into Java, let me go into web programming. There were so many other things people were just cashing in on and making their career. But you took the other road, right? I'm going to do a PhD. You probably had peers who were racing ahead in tech and looking past you,
right.
What's she doing? And here you are. And, to top of that, all PCs come with the Intel inside.
Right.
You're in a university and you're going to go and tell them, I want a GPU who, like you rightly said, nobody heard of, right? And they would have said, make do with the Intel processor. It's world famous. Why are you even asking for something else? How do you convince your university professors that this is not good enough? I need to go and get a GPU who nobody has heard of from a company called NVIDIA, which is known for games, to do something serious in research. I'm really interested in how you got this going.
So let me take you back a bit in history. Mario, I've always been a topper in my life. I've never come second in my life ever. From my nursery till my PhD.
Nursery mein first kaise?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot settle for something which is not 100%.
That's why Pineapple Podcast, the best. Sorry.
Yeah, and when I graduated from SNDT Women's University, I was the general secretary of the university. I did my internship with Tata Nelco, and we tried. I'll not say we did fully, but we as two young girls, me and my project partner Nidhi, we worked there for 6 months, and they were really impressed with our work, and they said, you can continue working with us, we'll pay you handsomely. But I told them I want to become a professor. My dream is to become a teacher. And my dad was devastated. Everybody was devastated. A topper does not become a teacher. That's not a path that you take. You become a teacher only if you don't get a job. And I was like, no, this is what I want to be, because...
Well, at least in those days, that was the inkling. These days, if you say you want to become a professor, people will like, oh, wow.
Yeah, because now it's like elite. During those days, it was like, you are a computer engineer. One of the kinds, women are not that. You have jobs which are coming all your way because people need computer engineers, and you are turning down a job and wanting to become a university professor. But that's what I always wanted to be. That was my passion. And I was pretty good at it because I knew delivery, I knew my tech, I knew how to upgrade and upskill myself. So when I went to JP University, that is obviously my husband was posted to Shimla, that's how I landed up there. In the initial few months, we were working on a module which was connected to Aadhaar. I'll not say I built something for Aadhaar, but it was, the inspiration was that can we have a biometric system where you embed your signatures into Aadhaar and or iris into Aadhaar. And when I started working, everybody got impressed with my work ethics or the way I was working with the students by, making them do something which was live, which would bring in meaning. And we had a great visionary vice chancellor in JP University at that point in time. He is the chancellor of Mahindra University now, Dr. Meduri. Dr. Meduri has set up all JP universities, Bennett University, and now he is the vice chancellor of Mahindra University. A great visionary, and it was an honor to work with somebody who actually could see future like Jensen.
Okay.
When I went to him and I told him, I want to do this, Meduri sir, he did not even once question me. He said, what does it take? I said, it takes these 3 PCs which I'll have to modify completely, and it takes a cab ride to Delhi where I'll get them modified and I'll upgrade the SMPS. No questions asked.
What's SNPS?
So that's the power supply which you get, single mode power supply. So that's what actually, that's where you plug in.
Okay.
So GPUs need more power. You cannot power them onto this, like CPUs require lesser power for driving, GPUs require more power. So you have to upgrade that. It's like a, how would I call it in a layman? It's like a stabilizer, which actually brings in more power to a more powerful device. That's how it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so I never faced a challenge, Mario, and I always feel if you're convinced yourself, it's not difficult to convince people. You have to have that strong conviction about your vision, about your belief, and if you bring to room a faith, and also if you are willing to fail. I didn't know what I'm venturing into, whether it's going to work, it's not going to work. I had no idea. Because for me, it was again an alien technology. I had never heard of GPUs. I had just heard of them in College of Engineering during my MTech, where some of my colleagues, some of my peers had again set up a lab, but I had not one-on-one worked on them. So I would say a lot of faith which the university showed in me, that led to us, moving forward.
So I noticed you lectured on quite a few universities.
Yeah.
Before jumping into the field. So what prompted you to make that jump? I mean, you could still be lecturing in a university today and making a killing because there's so much of a demand for professors who have hands-on and who worked with especially CUDA. So what made you jump back into the field, into a job, and what prompted it?
So I think a lot of academicians or universities are going to kill me, but I was in academia because I'm a passionate teacher.
Yeah.
Even when I was heading, like I headed the departments at various universities. I became a professor. That's the ultimate that you would want to become in your career. And I loved being in classrooms, interacting with students, exposing them to new technologies which will actually help breakthrough, which will help them develop a future which none of us can see, because youngsters are very enthusiastic, they are visionaries, we are not. Slowly what I noticed, academic institutions became not places of learning, they just became places of issuing degrees.
Yes.
Of compliances, of everybody expecting every teacher to do teaching, to do research, to be managed, to do all admin work, which I felt killed all the creativity. And more so, now you don't get those students who really come to a class to learn. That has also changed. The expectation of a student is, I pay you, just give me the degree. The expectation of a university is, he's paying us, just give him the degree. So where's the learning in the whole gamut? And I don't want to waste my talent and what I know on just building Excel sheets for compliance. So I don't know whether these compliance agencies are doing good to the universities or they're just killing the basic instinct of learning from the universities. That's when I thought, I'm done. I have shaped enough young minds. I have students who are, with God's grace, doing extremely well in their lives, and now it's time for me to actually foray into something which is my core. I'm a researcher by deep down my heart. I just love research. I can spend 14 hours in front of a system, coding, building algorithms, and I will never be tired.
What's your favorite programming language?
I am a Python person now, but But if you ask me, I would definitely say C programming is my favorite.
C programming. Why?
Yeah.
Why C?
I'll tell you, like, see, if I have to read a data frame in Python, I just have a pandas library, or I just have a NumPy library, whereas that was not the case when I would program in C. I would write a for loop using, a nested I and j loop,
Yeah.
then call both the dimensions and do some kind of a multiplication. That's where actually you learn how are you going to manipulate what you see. That's where the whole programming is. I say Python is more of English. If you are fluent in English and you know a couple of libraries, everybody can program in Python. So I mean, I'm more biased towards.
And why I asked you that is when I entered data science, it was 2016, and it was still quite new for many people. When I looked at you, it said you like 2011, 2012, and I noticed your CV. You had all these computer vision, and text to speech in text, just comprehending text in 2011, 12, 13. Nobody thought. I mean, if you look at those old, NMIS data set, it's recognizing an alphabet was so tough, right? It was in 2011, 2012. Now people just blink and, it's done. I mean, so you entered the industry and you were programming in an era where it was not as easy as it is today.
Yeah.
And you coming from an academic background, how tough was it?
Mario, it was not tough because I loved maths from day one. Even today, I pick up my daughter's 10th standard books and I start solving. That's who I am. Just crazy about maths. I love physics. I'm like, these are the two subjects which drive me really crazy. They are my happiness. So it was not difficult. At the same time, as I shared with you earlier also, I became NVIDIA's DLI instructor. So that's the Deep Learning Institute which NVIDIA runs.
Yeah.
And it was very, very difficult to become an instructor during earlier days. Like they had a 3-fold screening. Let me tell you, it takes a lot of effort to be where I am. It's not being boastful, it's being truthful. Because my husband was an army officer. My son changed his school in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. 4 years, 4 schools. Not at a single place. Bhatinda, Mumbai, Goa, Nagpur, Chennai. That's the kind of geographic distribution that I saw in my life. I knew the only way for my survival was I should be way, way ahead of what people know, so that whenever I move from one place to another, I carry a lot of things which are not available, which are rare. Hence, I always upskilled myself. I would say I put in that effort. I burned that midnight oil. Getting certified as a DLI instructor for my first course, which was Fundamentals of Deep Learning, as you rightly said, it used the MNIST data set, and we actually.
What year was this? The certification?
Yeah, yesterday even Sumit asked me. If I remember correctly, it was year 2013 or 14. I'm not too sure about the year though, but yeah. And then I started training people, and the more the more you train, when you built your neural network of 3 layers with that deep learning notebook which NVIDIA provided you, you understood how nuanced it is and how matrix multiplications have got expedited with these GPUs and how we are leveraging and by then the world was on internet. There was humongous amount of data that we had, and now you had this compute power with GPUs, which was like amazing. So it fascinated me, and that's what that's what probably I would say I spend a lot. I'm very selfish, Mario.
We all are.
Yeah, and there's a very profound Buddha's quote which I feel has been the guiding mantra of my life. You can never serve from an empty bowl. Unless and until your own bowl is not filled, if I do not know my stuff, I will never be able to serve people. And to fill up your bowl, you need to put in a lot of effort. I'm antisocial. I would not say antisocial, but I don't have many friends.
You're not antisocial.
I don't socialize. I don't. So what would I say? I spend most of the time with myself and my family. I don't have circles of friends with whom I go on abroad vacations or holidays or whatever. Yeah, you are a dear friend, Krishna. But it's like this beautiful video. I don't know whether you saw. It's roaming around on LinkedIn about the jars and the sand and the pebbles and the water. What you fill, right? It just, I don't know. It surfaced on my. So I prefer filling up my jar with stones, because then pebbles and sand and water automatically fill in.
You make a very interesting point. that you are, I believe, not so extrovert in the sense you're trying to say you're an introvert, because the field is so vast that, and sometimes even I feel there is no time to take a break.
Right.
Everything is moving so fast. If I turn around to blink, something new
World
has
will
come,
change. Yeah.
and it's gone before I could grab it, right? And if I make a call, if I just take what you just said, right? When you entered the industry in 2011, 2013, trying to program, neural networks that time was a little tough.
Yes.
Right? And the program, the libraries weren't there. You need
Yeah.
to code everything from scratch. Now, today, everything, like you said, is in Python libraries. I just import the library, boom, the magic appears, and then people call themselves, now I'm a data scientist.
Yes.
Right? Now, here's a question I'm going to give to you. A lot of people are calling themselves data scientists today without any hint of the underlying math or how the system works, which is quite different if I contrast it to a mechanical engineer. If I call myself a mechanical engineer, and if somebody calls me, fix a car, I know how the car works.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
Today's data scientists, well, they'll tell you we don't need to know.
Right.
It's working the way it is. We just need to build this nice Python layer on top of it. I know what a data frame is. I know what NumPy is. Boom, 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 boom. Within half an hour, oh, it's done.
It's all
I am a data scientist.
So Mario, there's a friend of mine who's the head of data governance of a company, and yesterday he posted again something on LinkedIn, and I always say, your ultimate algorithm is only as good as the data that you bring in, and let me answer this in a different manner. So I'm hiring for a position, and as rightly you said, everybody in today's world is a data scientist or a computer vision wizard, or they've worked on projects where they've just used so many algorithms.
Oh, you forget the most important, claiming to be a data scientist.
Yeah, claiming to be a data scientist. Now my check is, let me ask this question to you. If I am building a binary classifier, just a pure 3-layer neural network, I'm building a binary classifier versus I'm building a multi-class classifier, how would the activation in the last layer differ? What activation function will I use?
Softmax, I mean, one of the most common ones.
For both?
Not for both.
The answer is, first of all, why do you use activation functions? Why do you want to bring non-linearity into data? What is it about data that you are not happy with, that you are adding this one more function on top of it, And the moment you understand that a softmax activation function actually gives you a vector as an output, if the vector is input with probabilistic distribution, and when you talk about temperature in ChatGPT, how does that temperature impact when you raise that temperature? Why does it become more creative compared to when you reduce the temperature? That's because it affects the probabilistic distribution of the softmax activation function. Now, if you don't know this, you might keep increasing and decreasing the temperature without knowing what's going on. So if I make temperature as 10, what do I get? I get a garbage. Why? Because my probabilities have got distributed uniformly. Now every word is equally probable, so you get a jargon. Now for me to explain why a large language model is hallucinating, I need to know what's going below it. So I feel like I had this discussion. I was telling you, I went to my daughter's exhibition yesterday, and there was this 11th grade student who was standing there who had built something on Indian Sign Language. And he had this nice chart where he showed that, okay, we take the data set, then we use some ML algorithms and we get this output. So I asked him, son, what algorithm did you use? So he said, we used C++. I said, that's a language. What algorithm? Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm not the one who built it. Actually, it's my friend who built it, but he's not here today. I said, then if you didn't build it, then how are you standing here presenting it?
Yeah.
But we have a GUI. I said, but GUI is not an algorithm. So, you know what has happened today, Mario? I feel we've stopped thinking. The power that large language models has given into our hands, it has actually taken away the urge of learning, the urge of being creative. Now everybody for everything writes a prompt and gets output from a large language model, which is fair enough. I don't say that's wrong. But is that what you are talking about? Is that your ingenuity? Is that how you would think? Because even right now, Now you read the new paper by Yalakun where he talks about JEPA now. He says that you cannot have the same algorithms running for text what you can have for vision, because vision is very different.
Yeah, very different.
You know, you cannot apply the same neural network on MNIST data set because it's vision. That's why you had convolutional neural networks, right? And from CNNs, then you went to vision transformers, which are very different from how you would look at, you know, CNNs. So the point here is, I am a professor, big professor of your basics should be very clear. Today I see people, let's say somebody who's done fashion designing, becoming an AI engineer. Come on, you don't even know what a data structure means. You don't know how a hash function works. Either you put in that effort to go back, learn data structures, learn database management systems, learn how indexing works, learn how hashing works, learn what are B trees, learn what is, you know, a decision tree, learn how decisions are taken, learn about probability. You can't just come and use libraries and say, I'm a machine learning engineer. That's not a machine learning engineer in my definition.
So, you know, interesting point you made when you were explaining that whole neural network structure. I'm not sure how many people realize, you know, it's probably in the back of their mind somewhere that when we embraced AI, we inadvertently accepted going from deterministic to probabilistic.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. They don't know. In the rule-based world of the past, where I had code, if this, then that, if this, then that, things will not break down.
Yeah.
And if they did, I could go right there and say, this line messed up.
Yeah.
Today, you have this whole probability in, right? And you play with the temperature and it gives you something else. But, oh, when it gives you a story, when it gives you a poem, you love that temperature. Otherwise, when you're trying to deploy something in a production environment, this is going to mess up things.
Yes.
I don't want this temperature. I want it, like, I want the outputs of a rule-based system in a AI system, but this is probabilistic. So you want your cake, you want to have your cake and eat it as well. So how do you merge these two worlds? Because you, from the very definition, you cannot stop AI from hallucinating. It comes baked into the pie.
Yeah, I would not say it's hallucination, Mario. It's the way these systems are built, where there are black boxes which are churning numbers, and you have these algorithms like backpropagation, like gradient descent, and you know, it's not, I would not say it's non-deterministic, but as you rightly said, it's probabilistic. And at each step, like in this book by by Tao Chen on NVIDIA Way, he says that Jensen, the class that he took, I'm not too sure about the class, he says that the professor would round off everything. He would not, you know, as a scientific person, you would want to run into, you know, 11 digits of precision, but the professor would round it off to 2 or 3 digits, which would really irritate Jensen. And they've given it a name. They call it as the CEO math or something like that. So it's very difficult to convince Jensen to come down from 11-digit precision to a 3-digit precision. The point here being that every time when you are calculating this probabilistic distribution, you are losing out on some amount of information. So it's probability compounded with probability what you get towards the end, which might not be what it would be if it was a typical rule-based system. So when I taught my first NVIDIA DLI course, there's a very beautiful slide there which says that when do I decide when to use AI? You know, do I use AI for everything? The answer is if the rules are known and there's not ambiguity, you can easily use the traditional machine learning algorithms or the traditional if-else algorithm. Just go with traditional programming. If the rules are nuanced, you're not too sure, like I have to differentiate between a man and a woman. Now, there's no template. A man can have long hair, fair. A man can look like me and a woman can look like you. There's no template. Hence, I don't know the rules here. So I go in with these probabilistic determinations where it becomes easier for us to predict such kind of things. You know, but still, predictive AI has not reached a level of sophistication as generative has, because to predict something, ultimately the power is the past data. Now, nobody knew that you will have a president like Trump who will create such tariffs which will disrupt the world's economy. So you don't have a pattern like that ever in the past. Now, if I have to use current scenario to predict something what's going to happen in future, the prediction might be as good as you and me predicting it rather than a machine learning model. So we have to be very mindful and careful about what to use where. AI is not a solution for everything.
It is not, and good you ended on that, because one of the most important use cases I see coming out. In fact, I just attended a data hack conference in Bangalore just two days ago on AI. Healthcare is pushed right up there.
Yeah.
Big use case, healthcare and AI. Now, like you said, there are cases where you can use, and then there are cases where good to use, and there are cases where it's dangerous. I mean, when you're playing with human life,
Yeah.
right? How much of AI do you want to bring in here, right? I mean, I see there are cases where you have radiology, right? It could help
Yeah.
doctors determine where there's a tumor, where there's a problem. But how much do we want to let AI assist doctors who are really knowledgeable? Of course, maybe there's another conversation for that. Just to help them or completely replace them, right? How much can we trust a probabilistic system at the basis of being able to do a human operation versus a human whose abilities we know, we trust? If you ask me, I would prefer a human being to operate on a relative of mine if he has a cancer. I'll give you a case. If a friend of mine has got cancer and if there's an operation, would I trust of the best doctor versus the best trained AI with tons of data? I mean, if you ask me, I'll still go with the doctor human because he's deterministic, he knows what to do. The AI, although the AI may have all the knowledge in the world, that small element of probability, I don't know. What's your take? I think there's still a big element of chance here.
Yeah, but see, Mario, it also depends on the use case. Like for a surgery, it's also what the doctor has learned during their course of degree. We are talking about trustworthy AI today. That can we actually trust AI systems for what they are? However, I feel the moment you take human out of the loop in an AI system, that's not, in my opinion, today also that's not very trustworthy. But having a human in the loop and using AI to augment, to leverage, or to be more precise is a thing, especially healthcare. I feel there's a lot of scope for bringing in AI. Like still in India, we are good, but the elderly healthcare in US, like long time back, there was a talk on body sensor networks, like for elderly people who are, who are staying alone or who don't have anybody to take care of them. It's good to have sensors all across their parameters to measure them, send the data across to a doctor so that the doctor can analyze and accordingly diagnose. So they'll have these insulin, insulin modules inside them where you can just inject insulin from a distance also. So I mean, in healthcare, it's really, really interesting how AI can disrupt, how it can really augment. But yes, I'm a big supporter of always having human in the loop, because if something goes wrong, we don't have even laws as of now to sue AI. That's the thing. So like there was this crash in US by a car. I'll not name the brand. I might just land up in trouble, but there was a crash. Now the point is, who is responsible for this death of the person? Is it the car because it's autonomous? Is it the driver who had let the car drive in an autonomous mode? Or is it the company that claimed that this can never let an accident happen? But that can happen with a human being also. So I feel we've not reached a level where actually we can, like, okay, we can do RAG, we can do agentic, we can have it augment stuff, but I think still a human in loop is what is very essential. But if you ask me, in healthcare, there is huge scope, and yeah, I will trust a robotic surgery
someday, probably.
Yes, provided there's a doctor in the
room. So, good you mentioned that car, because I remember a few years ago when I was going through AI, there was one case, I'm not sure whether it's the same thing you're talking about. A car is speeding on the highway. A truck comes in the way.
Yeah.
The sunlight reflection hits the mirror.
Correct.
There's a truck. The sunlight reflection is what the vision detector sees. It doesn't see the truck. It bangs head-on.
Yeah.
And this is training data which, right,
Yeah.
the vehicle wasn't trained on the fact that sunlight could impact this inability to see the object, right?
Yes.
So it thought there's nothing, boom, right? So when you look back, it's it's all learning, right? So
Yes.
now they'll go back and they'll train the data. Oh, what happens if sunlight comes and there are other objects, right? So there's still so many cases. For a human being, he'll go to jail, right? But
Right.
what do you do for an algorithm
Exactly. So Mario, I like interesting thing when we started, like when the vision disruption started with GPUs, the first algorithm or the first problem that even NVIDIA tried to solve was ray tracing, because the way light falls makes things look very different. It changes the complexion, it changes everything. So and now you'll see people talking about physical AI, because unless and until you don't model physical systems onto the AI, it's going to be very difficult to have these reliable AI agents, as we are talking about agentic AI today. So I think it's very essential to understand the environment in which, because real world is very different from simulated world. When we simulate something and when that particular product comes into the real world, it's very different there. So modeling physics now, if you see even in during the latest NVIDIA GTC, Jensen mentioned about having more physical AI, because that's going to be the need of the hour. As you rightly said, that how does sun play a role in how you look at things, or how do you model weather, because the predictions still are not absolutely accurate. You call it a rainy day, the kids get a day off and it's the brightest day that you could ever have. So there is a lot of scope about understanding different phenomenon and getting them into these systems. I mean we've just got started.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned Yann LeCun. So, and Yann LeCun has himself said, what got us here is not going to take us forward,
Yes.
right? The whole spatial orientation of an object with respect to others in a room, a large language model transformers doesn't get that. It just paints the picture as the way it is. Trying to simplify it. I'm so sorry. I'm going to jump onto a topic which I think you and I like. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA, right? So you've been in working with NVIDIA since, on NVIDIA technologies,
close the loop
GPUs,
on that spatial recognition.
Spatial recognition, right? So it's about the fact that probably Meenakshi can, say it in a much better way. When we look at large language models, right, it just digitizes the whole scene, right, into digits. It puts it in a vector, and magically, when you train an algorithm, it's able to get everything stored in vectors, and it's able to give you analysis based on what's there. But it cannot actually say that in a real world, this is a person, that's an object, the relationship between objects, like how you and I perceive in the real world, that's not how the algorithm perceives it. It perceives it in a different way, which is why sometimes, for instance, and I saw this yesterday, if you say, I'm sitting on a chair, right, and put a cup above my head, right? It could place the cup in the middle of the air above my head, because anywhere between here to the roof is how the algorithm understands it. It doesn't have the spatial dimensions which we understand. I'm sitting on a chair is made of wood, we are objects, gravity is pulling us down, right? All these things the model doesn't understand. So there's a lot of work, and which is why Yann LeCun said, we still have a long way to go before we can actually put Gen AI into the real world for us to experience it. That's something which probably you can add, it's still a work in progress.
So Mario, when we moved from typical CNNs, and then the paper attention is all you need actually disrupted the entire world.
Sorry, what is CNNs?
So it's convolutional neural networks. The different neural networks that you use for processing images. You use a feed forward or a multi-layer perceptron for textual data. When it comes to image, you use a convolutional neural network, which basically tries to model the human visual system. For instance, if you remember, there's this very good example, Krishna, like the words are written in reverse and you can still read it.
Yes.
That's the beauty of human visual system, that we generalize. It's not like you're reading every word that's there. How do you generalize? Like, what is it? So you are identifying patterns, and that pattern recognition, like taking cue from the human visual system, there were neural networks built which took advantage of this, how humans visualize things, and then it applied convolutions on an image which actually extracted those features which are actually relevant to us. So instead of processing the entire image, now you only process those parts of the image which contain those textures, those edges and stuff, what you would see as a human being. And now the amount of data that you're processing is way, way lesser because you are removing the, let's say, the blank pixels, the pixels which don't have much of a value, and then you are, predicting whether it's a
You're
cat
teaching
or
the
a
AI
dog.
to focus.
Yes, you are teaching it to see what is important that way.
I've also thought that, neural networks is a whole exercise in us understanding how our own brain functions.
Correct, yeah.
Because until then, I didn't know there's so many layers in my head, and one layer handles this feature, the other layer that, it's like, oh wow, is this how it really works in here? I didn't know.
How your brain works
Yeah.
is a case study.
Yeah.
We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
But
So,
you were asking about Jason Wong.
Yeah.
So the spatial thing, sorry, that you
that's
asked
fine.
about, yeah. So what happens over here now when we came to these attention models, they brought in some amount of context about what is this, what is the semantic relationship between words in a particular sentence, and accordingly what is going to be the relationship in the context forward. Now, pertaining to your question, we are not like, for instance, there's a very classic example which says the machine learning model and the model in the image is varying. Now here, the word is the same. The embedding for model when you start is going to be the same.
Yeah.
But when you add on attention about what preceded it, so that brings in the context that we are trying to build in. And it's again not a black box. You can model this in the form of a proper matrix multiplication, what goes on there. If you'll see in GPT-3, there are around 12,288 dimensions.
Okay.
You and I can see only in 3 dimensions.
In 3 dimensions, yeah.
Now imagine a system which is working in 12,288 dimensions. It understands majority of it, but now the dimension of how high is not baked in as of now.
Yeah.
So you ask GPT-3 the same question and now ask GPT-5 the same question. Because there has been an addition of more dimensionality, more context, more semantic relationship between words, a GPT-5 might do better when you ask it. But see, if you see, still generative by virtue of image and video is still a lot in progress. Generative text has reached a good amount of expertise. But you see, Sora, we are yet not there. You cannot model hands. That's the most difficult human feature to model because there are so many nuances there. So, I mean, there's a lot to go. And as you rightly said, we don't have complete understanding of the spatial existence of all dimensions that we have modeled as of now or baked into a system which will be able to capture all these nuances. So, that's again what we need to work on in future.
Yeah. Okay, Jensen Huang, you worked with his technology GPUs for a long time. And what I noticed about your beginning is you didn't have GPUs in college. You went, grabbed it, came back, got something working. That was 16 years ago. AI has progressed so much. And India, it seems, we have missed the bus on this, right? I mean, we don't have our own LLM. Right now, Sarvam is the only LLM coming up with this, which is multilingual. China got ahead, way ahead with less, the US was stopping them from getting the GPU chips. We had no restriction. We had all the ability to import chips. We somehow didn't. We were still with AI. We were building applications on top of AI. But somehow it seems that we didn't have someone like you to push the government and say, let's get GPUs in and let's build our own AI. Why do you think we missed that?
I think the bigger reason is, Mario, and I always tell people that we don't invest in risky ventures. We
as a country?
Always, as a country, we don't risk, like see, we don't even have a single semiconductor manufacturing facility, though I think we are one of the pioneers in education, in technology, but do you see anything where there is risk people investing in it? For somebody to believe in an open AI and invest, it took courage because it was just faith and conviction that this is going to work. Somebody gave them GPUs, somebody gave them compute power, somebody invested in them. But are you and I willing to invest in something where we are not too sure but which can disrupt future? I think the biggest thing is we always try to play safe. Today the adoption of AI in India is the humongous. Every Indian knows AI today the way no country would know, the way no country would have adoption of this. But we never take that initial step. Like you see when DeepSeek came, it disrupted everything that we knew about. like OpenAI got scared, if I may
Yeah.
use that word. And we went to China in, I think, 2014 or 15, and when we landed up there, Google Maps stopped working. I couldn't use Google. They have their own search engine called Baidu, where people like Andrew and G have worked. So for you to have something indigenous, one, maybe I don't know whether this lands me up in trouble or not, but we are not communists like China, where things can be forced upon, where there's everything is centrally controlled. Because here everybody has an opinion, we probably close our eyes to see a future which can bring in a lot of innovation. Even today, when we talk about Sarvam, it has a long way to go compared to where we are. Another thing I feel is that we do not, as a country, promote people taking risks. Like, will you let your child, I'll say still today world has changed, but you'll not let your child build something which even he's not confident about. So I think the biggest problem is we do not trust, or we do not invest heavily into things where we do not know that the return is very high. And nobody knew at that point in time what exactly AI is going to bring to the world, how is it going to disrupt. So we missed the bus of creating foundational models. At the same time, I don't think everybody needs to build those foundational models. There are good groups who are actually working on bringing in fairness in AI, because majority of them are created using databases which are predominantly American or European, and they are not inclusive. So that's the research which is going on right now. But yes, we do not innovate.
So, interestingly, you say this, Nandan Nilekani, in fact, took a lot of flack when he said, let the big guys in Silicon Valley build the foundational models.
Yes.
In India, we're the ultimate test bed for use cases. So let's become the test bed.
Right.
But then you have other people saying, well, you know what, but China's got its own large language model. US has got it. We're like 1.4 billion people, and we want to live off somebody else's model. What about us why can't we have our own? And that's why the whole,
are those the only two countries that have it?
No, I think even France has.
Japan also.
France, Japan, Russia?
Russia, I'm not.
Singapore?
No.
Okay.
So
is it an absolute need that we have? Because I can think of it from the angle that there's so many languages here we need that, and I know Sarvam is building it, but and I don't. It just seems like we are too big not to have our own research. And rightly what you said, and here's another angle I want to go at. India today ran a cover story just in the latest. It says, over time, we got the AI boom. We got the tech boom 20 years ago in our hands, and we've kept it there. I mean, Indian services companies have all the major accounts in the world. We monitor them. We deliver software for them. And initially it was tech, and then software as a service came. Then itself was a little shaky, because when you have software as a service and cloud, I mean, how much would people go asking a service industry company to do that when they could get their own people? And then we should have seen the writing on the wall then, and now it's AI. So how much of services do you actually need from these companies when people can manage and build them on their own, since it's so easy? So do you think complacency set in somehow, since the visionaries who got there in the beginning, hats off to them, but over years it's just become a lot more easier and easier to get a job? I mean, if you just look 8-9 years ago, what was an ideal tech person job? Oh, I become a software developer, now team lead, now project manager, oh, now I do people management. Oh, yeah, that's it. And so maybe, I don't know, is that the setting which we've...
Could you please repeat the question?
That's interesting. I want, Meenakshi's thoughts on this. I want thoughts on
this. This is the longest question in the history of this podcast.
So...
2-minute question?
Thoughts.
Good God. Okay.
I got what Mario is trying to say, but Mario, let me tell you that we don't have qualified people to even get the basic job today.
Okay.
That's the sad part of it all. I, on an average, in a week, interview at least 20 people with PhD, only to be disappointed.
Even PhDs?
Even PhDs.
What are the skills they should have?
The basic skill of knowing basics. I think that's the basic,
Example?
If you come with a degree in computer engineering and you can't explain how an array is different from a linked list,
Okay.
That's not acceptable to a person
Agreed.
like me who comes from a school of thought that ultimately what matters is fundamentals.
Agreed.
You should come back with that. There is a big gap between the skill requirement versus what people bring on the table. You need skilled people. And I think that's the whole, I will not say blame, but the whole onus is on the education system that we have. We are making life for children. So I'll give you an example, Mario. In fact, that is probably the amazing thing which I saw. My daughter was going to Ames Middle School in Iowa, and they had this subject called entrepreneurship. Now, in India, an entrepreneurship subject means you'll have a book written by somebody who has never been an entrepreneur, and you read that book, you go and you take an exam on what is entrepreneurship, what will you do to become an entrepreneur, and you will pass that exam with flying colors, and now you are qualified in entrepreneurship. So what they did in their school was they called a bank to give loans to children.
Okay.
And each group of children had to pitch up an idea of their business. So my daughter had a business idea of some first aid kit or something.
How old is your daughter during this exercise?
She was 13.
Wow.
13, yeah.
Okay.
So they got this bank telling them that how much loan can the bank give, how they have to. So it started with them creating their own team, who's the CEO, who's the CTO, who's the CFO, what are their roles going to be, then how do you pitch your idea. So they made this presentation about what our kit is going to contain, what is going to be the cost per kit, and then how much are we going to sell it for, how much is the profit, how much are we going to raise in through our own resources, how much are we going to raise, and how much money do we need from the bank. Now a 13-year-old walks up to me, can I get $20 for you for raising my own capital, because the bank is going to invest into me just $50 and we need these many. Now imagine this, and imagine somebody who just read a book and said, I am an entrepreneur. There's a huge difference. When we talk about bridging the gap between industry and academia, who's going to bridge that gap? You are telling a professor to teach a course on GPU. Poor professor never saw how a cloud account looks like. They've never been exposed to an A100. What does the machine look like? What does it do to my algorithm? How are they capable? I was on the board of studies of this one college, I'll not name the college, but there was a huge talk, we're going to do this, we are going to upskill our children, our faculty has to do this, our faculty has to do that, they have to do all that. But does your university even have an Amazon university account? Is a professor allowed to spin an H100 to see how you can have a Quen 2.5 billion lying on your premises and you play with it? Do you have API keys for your faculty to test how an API key call is done to leverage the number of tokens that you can get from as an answer from GPU? You don't have. So where are the skilled people? ChatGPT, prompting in ChatGPT and getting an answer or a code
is the easiest thing to do.
That's not what brings in skill. Skill is providing those resources, providing those avenues, letting children experience firsthand what it means to develop an end-to-end ML pipeline on an AWS SageMaker. How are ML models baked in? How do I move data from S3 onto my onto my system? How do I get it back onto S3? How do I deploy a service using Route 53? They have to know this pipeline, but they don't.
You said children. How old? What age would you recommend someone starts learning this?
There's no age, Krishna.
There's no age?
There's no age.
Because you said there should be a good base in maths.
Yeah. So, see, Indians are inherently good in mathematics, and we have to understand that every child is not good in mathematics. So why force every child to become an engineer? Why have you throw a stone and an engineer, 5 engineers erupt out from that place?
In school.
And like this guy said, I dropped out of a 4th year computer. Why? Why was he into computer engineering if he didn't want to be there?
Fair.
Like, you have engineers, but are they qualified engineers? Are they because that's their passion? And if you are not passionate about anything, Mario, like a chef will not be a successful chef if he is not passionate. Look at Ranveer Brar, the way with which he passionately cooks. If I tell him to write software, do you think he's gonna be do you think he'll bring in anything on the table?
No, obviously. But you know what? There's this other angle I want to, run by you. It's important for people to have passion. I agree. But today, the whole thing is people don't discover their passion until they've seen enough of life, right? And people's passions change over. So I'll tell you, I have had a very love-hate relationship with maths. I never liked maths in school. Hated it. Couldn't do it. Hated it. In college, in school, somehow it was thrust on me. I was tutored in it. Somehow that hate turned into a challenge. And after this time, that challenge turned into awe. And now when I look at math, the hate I once had is more of an awe. Wow, there's stuff like this which I don't understand. Wouldn't it be great if I can understand? So it's a 180-degree turn for me.
Right.
But a lot of people don't, they hate it. They just want to stay away from it. So different people have different approaches to it.
Correct.
And I know a lot of people who do math very well, they just don't like it.
Yes.
Yeah, we can calculate, but there are interesting things to do. Let's draw. Let's get into motor racing. We like speed, right?
Yes.
So what you do the best is sometimes not what you love doing.
Yeah.
Right? But in today's world, what do you think should be the right fit here?
You describe somebody who's my daughter. She loves maths. Like she can do maths, she doesn't love it. And she's very vocal about it. I don't find this interesting. You love it, Mama, but she's into racing cars and everything. She wants to join NDA. Now, if today I tell her, okay, you finish your engineering degree and then go into NDA because you'll have a backup. I mean, what will she bring to table?
Yeah.
Maybe she brings in more analytical skills, maybe whatever, but she's not getting those required skills that are needed for you to become an engineer or build cutting edge engineering products. But my son wanted to become a physicist. He wanted to do his degree in physics. But I always knew he has a bent towards creating more engineered products. So I told him, try for 2 years. You are free to drop out of your engineering if you don't find this as your panache. And in 4 years of his engineering, he worked as an intern with AI for Bharat, with lots of companies. Like he was working with one, ultimately landed up in Zomato as a Gen AI engineer because he found his passion. You're right. Sometimes people do find it, sometimes they do not. Hence the skill gap. Like if you fit a square peg in a round hole, it's never going to fit in there. So, I mean,
this what you just mentioned, right? I mean, this is so like my parents' time. I'll tell you why. In my parents' time, people say, you want to do this? That's fine. Do your BCom or your engineering, then do whatever you want after that. Because the backup is there, right?
Right.
And then when people grudgingly, okay, we'll do this, and then they do their and then they do their engineering. But then by then they found other things to do. They may not really like it, but they just get distracted, right? And then later on they come back and then there's this other thing sitting in front of Krishna, right? I've done my BTech. I'm so in the system now. What's next? Oh, MBA. Jump in. Let's all do the BTech and MBA. And then now we are qualified to take in anything in the world.
Yes.
But then, did you actually meet your purpose in between? Or are you going to meet it in the future? Does this really arm you or does this bias you?
I will answer this instead of Meenakshi. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
My grandfather, 2 jobs in a day, married to my grandmother, homemaker, 6 children. And my father joined the army, left the army after 10 years, did his MBA, and I think worked for almost 11 to 15 years before we bought a house in Pune. And when I joined the corporate world, I joined with my parents having already bought a house, more or less little bit of a base in our income. So I was like a third generation who had come out of living in a 1 BHK with 6 people. So the priority, even when I was there, was my father decided no army for you. I really wanted to, but he said no army for you, but I need you to find your own path and I need you to make money. It's important that you make money. So engineering and MBA was the most obvious choice that guaranteed you're going to make some money here. So that is why most of the people whose examples you took, prompt engineering, certificate course, 3x your money, it's just the per capita income in our country is not at the level of a US or a China. And until that safety net is not there, people are not willing to innovate.
So maybe that's what drives us.
There's a marginal utility problem.
In the end of the day, it's money actually.
It's basic money. So if you had $1 million in your account today, and someone says, here I'm going to pay you $20,000 more, let's do some work. I'm okay, I don't need it.
Yeah.
But if you had no money in your account and someone's like, here's 20,000, like, give me, whatever you need, I'll get it done. Right? That mentality of ours, which we call jugaad, is yeah, we will get it done. You give us the money, we will get it done for you. Now she's saying that there is a dearth of talent. Someone is going to realize there is. Someone is going to start a university that is a specialization in AI, where they only bring in the highest rated people and the entrance exam is just hardcore mathematics and physics. And only if you pass that, you enter the college. It's the new IIT JEE type of entrance exam. And you have a university, and there people are trained on AI. It might happen.
There are already academies who are doing this. Why does it have to be a university? When it's a university, the government comes in, you have to set rules. Academies can change a lot faster. In fact, the syllabuses can move with the times.
There will be something.
Upgrad is doing some, quite a few.
Yeah.
But in my head, the answer to your question as to why is India taking that step back, and why I think Nandan Nilekani is right, it's fine. We don't have to build our own LLM. That's why I asked you, has Russia done it or Singapore done it? I don't think if Russia and Singapore are not doing it, and they're just leveraging the models existing, why can't we?
I don't think we should benchmark ourselves against them.
No,
Okay, let's not Russia, Singapore.
No, actually there's another reason to that, Krishna, because of the geographic diversity of our country. So the dialect changes every 20 kilometers.
Yes.
Now for you to actually, so Tamil computing has been there since years, and I have very dear friends who work in Tamil computing, building large language, but even they struggle to find a unified model or a model which can identify every kind of dialect in Tamil. So the challenge here is that we are not a country like America where the only language spoken is English.
Or Mandarin.
You don't have too much of diversity there. Hence, building such path-breaking models becomes easier. And you know, like a couple of years back, if you would say generate an image of an Indian man, it would invariably have the image of a Rajasthani looking kind of a person with huge mustaches, a turban on their head and stuff like that. Even if you say, give me the picture of a modern Indian family sitting around a dining table, you would have a mother with a sari. And so for us, like now, if you say, give me a Rajasthani family sitting across a dining table is very different compared to give me a Goan family sitting across the table. So the diversity of data in India itself is so humongous that we will need to build regional models before we actually start building an Indian large language model per se, because imagine the amount. So there are people who are like, AI for Bharat is doing a huge collection of regional languages, but despite that, the diversity which is there is very difficult to capture.
I think another point, you make is, we need, there's so much data out there. There's a huge wide body of information on English to train, right?
Yes.
We don't have that corpus of information in Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, Konkani, nothing. And even if it is, it's all in written books.
Right.
You have to digitize that, which means you need to get the script. It's labor, it's manual labor, putting that in, right? It's years of work which has to be done before we could get that information in to be able to at least train something and get a large language model. From what I understand, Sarvam, they're using synthetic data, but how much synthetic
what
data?
Is synthetic data?
Synthetic is generated. You generate.
Through a large language model, you generate data. So I'll tell you, Mario, why it is important. Like, why did we see so much of research on computer vision happening? So it's all attributed to a professor at Stanford called Fifi Lay, who created this data set called ImageNet. Before that, like, vision had lagged behind text because there was huge amount of labeled textual data available, but there was no vision data available. So she took on that onerous task of creating this data set called ImageNet, which actually became a benchmark for every, like AlexNet, LeeNet, all these networks actually were the outcome of a competition which was run by her in collaboration with a firm. And all these models which got built were actually built on that data set. So that became a benchmark for every vision language model or every convolutional neural network which got created. So the power to all these models is data. If you don't have it, how are you going to build it? And I don't know whether you saw this recent Ayo Shraddha's video about what is this song that we have, Mile Sur Mera Tumhara.
Okay.
That how diverse India is and how that diversity causes a lot of kill to innovation, because we have to grow beyond the boundaries of regionalism. Think of as a country that this is what we might need. At the same time, Mario, who will be interested in my Kashmiri LLM?
Yeah.
Like, what is the market that you're trying to look at?
Yeah.
You have to look at from a business perspective also.
Yeah.
Is there enough
Users.
use cases for you to actually use a Kashmiri LLM or a Punjabi LLM? Maybe let's discount certain languages like Punjabi and Tamil, which are universally spoken today. But what is the need for such a thing? And if there are languages which are spoken worldwide, like Tamil, there's a lot happening there. I think it's okay if you don't have an indigenous large language model, because that might not have too many use cases. But if we have adaptability to adapting to what people are building, and we are building our products on top of that, it's, I think, fair enough.
So I'm very curious about, you're done now, Baswa. I'm very curious about how you were raised in Jammu, and if you could draw parallels with how you're raising your children now. How different is the two? You're born and raised in Jammu,
Yes.
right? You must be tired of that question. You're a woman doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'll get that out of the way, but I'm very curious as to what was the way you were grown up? How were your parents letting you be?
Yeah.
And how are you letting your kids be?
So, Krishna, my dad worked with the Airports Authority of India, and my mom used to work with the State Industrial Development Corporation.
Jammu.
Jammu, yes.
Okay.
Initially in Srinagar, then of course after militancy and stuff like that, we and mom moved to Jammu. Dad was off and on in Srinagar airport, and
You were born, raised in Jammu?
I was born in Kashmir.
Kashmir, okay.
Was there till I think 10, 11 years of my life, till the time militancy didn't happen. Then we moved to Jammu. My mom became that migrant employee who got, who started working in Jammu then, because they were giving that leeway. So my dad was the one who always believed that you have to educate your children.
As in, it's his responsibility.
No, like educate your children. Yeah, it's his responsibility.
Okay.
And there was no restriction on, like, we would just go to a bookshop and pick up whatever books we wanted. There was never a no. So we were brought up with the mindset that you have to grow up. So my dad used to make three of us. We are three siblings, me, my sister, and my brother. My brother is the youngest, 7 years younger to me. He would make three of us sit down and give these dictations to us about. So I was supposed to become an IAS officer, my sister an IPS, and my brother an IFS officer. That was his dream for me, for three of us. So his point was, give your best shot educationally. And I was always a very brilliant child.
Were you well off financially at that time?
Very well off. Both my parents.
And even then, he wanted you to be IAS.
Yeah.
So if you had not pursued education and your dad just left you the money, would you have been comfortable?
No.
It's not that rich.
No.
You still would have to work.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We belong to a service class family. So there's this, like, we were not millionaires. And we had a lot of land back, like my dad, as my aunts. So if I answered, I would have actually, because I married a good person also who was rich enough for us actually not to work.
So you didn't have to work.
I didn't have to work, yes.
But okay, so then the question is, what triggered your dad to say, no, it doesn't matter how comfortable we are, how comfortable we might be. My children have to not just be educated, have to be IAS, IFS educated.
He was very progressive in his thought, Krishna, I would say like that. Like, we were not even raised like daughters, from very early age, because both my parents were working. I used to manage the finances of home. Very young age, which was unlikely at that point in time. My brother would always crib that this is the only household where men are discriminated against women, because he was not so good at studies, and me and my sister, like as I told you, I was the topper and my sister was very good. She was the captain of our school cricket team. She played at district level also.
Nice.
So my dad was very encouraging. Like, we were never told not to do this. When I came for my engineering also to Mumbai, not many people were happy. You can't send your daughter to Mumbai to study
from Jammu, right?
Yeah. Again, it was it was not the norm those days. You would not do that to your daughter, and that to Bombay, SNDT, Juhu. The Juhu beach is right next. What if? We were born in a very, very open environment. We had loving grandparents, a huge, family back in our village where we would go once in a year. So it was very nice. But I would attribute my dad. He was not the one who would come and like he would not come and deposit your fees. You had to do it on your own. He made us very, very independent, and that's an advantage. That's a disadvantage because I am extremely independent. I do not reach out to people for any help. That burns me down. I am trained and tuned to handle everything right from kitchen to finances all on my own. So we were too independent, fiercely independent, three of us.
Then how does marriage happen? How old were you when you got married?
I was 21.
21. That's
Yeah.
still young, right?
Yes, very
So,
young.
did your dad say, no, you should get married at this age, or was that a love marriage?
No, it was a love marriage and he was not at all happy. Because
He was not happy?
He was not happy because I was marrying a Fauji. That was not the norm. But like I knew Sumit is the one that
How
I
did you and
want to
Sumit
get married.
meet?
We met, like I was in 10th standard when I met him at his CEO's house. His CEO's daughter was my classmate. So that's how we met. And we were friends before we actually, kind of thought that we want to live our life together. And I'm happy, that was the only time I did not listen to my dad. Otherwise, I was a very, very obedient child. Very obedient. I have never ever said no to my dad for anything.
21 years of age, you get married.
Yeah.
And you are this ambitious person.
Yes.
And looking at the conversation we've had so far, you are insanely well educated as a ambitious person.
Yes.
But you're marrying an army officer.
Yeah.
There's going to be moving. There's going to be a lot of moving.
Yes.
You wanted to be a mother as well.
Yes.
So you're moving. You're going to be a mother, but you wanted to do all this.
Yes.
How?
Actually, Krishna, when I look back, I feel it was not possible. Not at all possible because, as I said, it took a lot out of my life. A lot in the sense, I don't have those intimate friendships, relationships because...
I don't think that's true. Look, we've met, so you and me are, I would like to believe, decent friends, but
Yes.
we've met a grand total face to face maybe 3 times, maybe 3 or 4 times. I don't think we've met face to face more than 3 or 4 times. Online, maybe we've met maybe a grand total, if I had to say we've spoken to each other, might have been 10 times total.
Yeah.
It's not like you're not social.
Okay, let me not go there. Let me come to. So I actually devoted my life to my family.
I would agree
moved
there.
with Sumit every time. I have never stayed separated. So when Sumit was, when he went to command, it was in a place called Mariani, which is the last station in Assam.
Wow.
And I was working with JP where I had set up this CUDA lab and everything. And both the vice chancellor and the registrar, Brigadier Balbir sir, he said they both said you can't leave a job like this. You stay back. He's going to command in a jungle. What will you do there? And my son was 9 and my son was 8 and my daughter was 1 at that point in time. But I said I don't want to give my kids a broken home ever. If I can be with my husband when he's just 3 hours away, I don't want to stay in Shimla just because I have a good job, because I know I'll get a job anyway.
So how did you manage?
I picked up a job in Jorhat Engineering College. So the point is, Krishna, it's not about money. It's about, are you passionate enough to do it as you like it? And I always followed my passion. I always said, job is not important. What is important is being connected in the system. When I was working in JP, my salary was 60,000 rupees in the year 2009, which was huge.
It's a lot.
Then we moved to Jorhat Engineering College. My salary was 13,000 rupees per month. But that's fine. If it was about money, I would have never grown.
How would you react to couples nowadays who are not able to decide? I'm not saying I want to phrase this correctly, so let me try. Today, man, woman, both are always working at the point in which they're getting married.
Right.
Both believe that equally both their careers are important.
Yes.
And I think that's fine.
It's fair, yeah.
When a opportunity arises, one side will say, no, mine is also important. Please say no and we have to progress together.
Right.
Whereas the other will say, no, look, I have this opportunity. You're my spouse. You need to come with me. Spouse. Man, woman, I don't care at this point. I'll change this later to man and woman as well.
Correct.
You decided that no, Sumit's career is more important. Colonel Sumit, but I'm not going to call him Sumit. Colonel Sumit's career is more important. I'm going to take that step and I'm going to keep following my passion on the side. How did that not affect you at an ego level?
I would not say I felt his career was more important, Krishna. Neither did he ever say that my job is important.
But you moved.
I moved because I knew myself. I knew that a place doesn't define my capability. It's not.
You
What
were
am I?
very secure in your ability.
I'm very, very confident in my skin, Krishna, even today.
Is
So-
that the root cause?
I would say that's like I never thought, if I leave this job, what will happen? I was in US. I'll just okay. Let me tell you that how we as a spouses always balance each other. When Sumit left army, and I got this opportunity to work in a lab in US, he did not even bat an eyelid before telling me, "Go, I'll handle everything." He said, "You let me shine till now. If it's your time to shine, go ahead." And I took that plunge, Krishna. Going to US alone to start a job at the age of 40 plus is not easy. Right from getting a driver's license to hunting for an apartment to getting your social security, it was not easy. But my husband he never asked me a question. If I'm out right now, you'll not see my phone buzzing ever. Never. He never, I never had to bother about what's going to be at home for food. He never expected me to be a traditional or a typical wife who brings in certain characteristics, and we've always given each other respect as equals. In our family, Sumit has no idea about our finances. He doesn't invest. He doesn't know how much salary does he get every month. He doesn't know what are our investments.
Colonel साहब देख रहे हैं पता
Yeah, he's proud of it, Krishna.
Okay.
It's not that he will, he says this proudly, that I understood who out of the two of us is more conjuice. So I handed over the finances to that.
Which is the same as you, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
My wife is the more confused.
Yeah. So, answering your question, Krishna, it's not about, how would I put it? It's like every relationship, no matter how much we might say, whether it's with our parents, whether it's with our spouse, with our kids, it's built on your ability to put in that effort to keep that relationship. What is my goal ultimately? I might be very successful in my career. I might have loads of money, which I have right now. But what I have more importantly than that is my family's, acknowledgement that we are a family. That's what brings me immense happiness. It doesn't matter. I'll not say I have always sacrificed. So has Sumit. He didn't have a typical wife who comes, gives him, garam roti or puts hot food on the plate.
Do you think that's wrong? That a lot of men today still expect that they should have a typical wife?
No, it's not. There's nothing wrong in expectation.
I'm so happy you said that, because I intentionally framed my question that way, where I thought you would say, no, it's wrong, men shouldn't be that way.
No.
But it's fine.
Krishna, it's fine. I'll tell you why. Because Sumit comes from a family of, like his nanke, they are into gold and diamond businesses. And all my bhabis, very beautiful, but they get happiness in doing that for their family.
And
Like,
that's fine.
That's fair enough. Why should I judge them?
Right, I agree. Today's feminists, a lot of feminists, I've seen it with a lot of my own family members. If someone chooses that, no, we just want to get married, we just want to get married, have kids and raise our kids.
Yeah.
They're like, why? Go do something with your life. And they're like, no, we're happy. This is what I would really just want to focus on my kids. And I think that's good.
Krishna,
That's fine.
So I have seen friends who are house husbands as well.
I know many people who are house husbands.
And let's respect everybody's choice.
Right.
I mean, everybody need not be a director of a company or having their own entrepreneur. Some people are just happy with small things in life. I'm not. But if somebody is, I'm not going to judge them. Why do you want to just wake up in the morning? Even today, I wake up in the morning, give my daughter a glass of Horlicks before she goes for school. Whereas there are 3 people, it brings me happiness.
How does the relationship start? So you said 21. So at 21, had you and Colonel Saab already had a discussion that this is what I want out of my life? Please don't expect that these. How much of a conversation had happened before you got married? Or had that happened?
Krishna, I told Sumit I want to become a homemaker.
Really?
Yes. I will never work in my life. and I want to just enjoy my life, probably become a school teacher. But I always wanted to become a teacher, that I was sure of. But I don't know, probably he's the reason behind who I am today. I'll be very honest, Krishna. I wouldn't have been who I am today if it was not for Sumit.
कैमरा ऑफ करके फिर से पूछूंगा.
नहीं सच्ची मैं अरे it's not about camera off.
So you're saying he somehow saw it in you,
yes,
and he pushed you.
He pushed me, Mario, and pushed me to the level where I actually started believing that whatever he envisions comes true.
It's interesting you say this, right? Because given the fact of the setting where he came from, he would have to give up so much to allow you to shine.
Right? Yeah.
He has, Mario, and I always say women are glorified, that you are where you are today because you would have sacrificed a lot. But when I look at my husband, he actually sacrificed a lot. I'll not say he was never there for kids. He was not a present father. But he gave me the I would not say he gave me. We don't use that word that you gave me this, but he truly is an evolved and a very, very progressive man. Like even in our home, it's not, I don't have to tell, or it's not said that who will do what.
Will do what, yeah.
It's like if you wake up in the morning, you'll make a cup of tea. If I wake up in the morning, I'll make a cup of tea.
Has it always been that way?
Always been like that. And he doesn't come from a household where it's like that. My father-in-law is not like that. So was my mother-in-law, was a homemaker, an amazing woman. Not saying this, God bless her soul, she's no longer alive. She was also very supportive to me in my career, but she always had this belief that when your husband comes home, you should be there to serve him food. He comes from a background like that. I many a times ask him that what made you be the way you are right now, because it surprises me at times. Krishna, I used to, obviously when you are out, all women friends get calls from their husbands, when are you going to be back? 25 years will complete next year. I've never got a call from him, where are you?
But that's also on you. You've never given him a reason to have to call you.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we've touchwood been very truthful, very honest, very open to each other. We don't, we communicate quite a lot.
If you had to give advice to anyone watching who are entering a relationship, who want to have a career, but who also want to have kids and do a family, how should that relationship start, and how can that relationship be maintained?
I would say it starts with trust.
How can something start with trust? Has to be earned, right?
No, trust is not earned. You have to trust that this is going to work. When you enter into a relationship with saying that I will give it a try, it might or might not work, you are wrong there. The first thing is trust that this is always going to work. And always remember, there is no perfect relationship. There's a beautiful quote, you are not only marrying the right person, you are also wanting to be that right partner. I should marry a guy who's tall, handsome, 6-figure salary. That's my expectation. But the other person says, I want to marry somebody who's homely and loving. Why are their expectations wrong? And why is your expectation right? I'll be honest. Yesterday, I had a session to take. Then we had a meeting, and I came back home, threw my stuff and jumped from one meeting to another. So Sumit, he made a nice snack. Then by the time I was done, there were 2 drinks on the table. So was one for my father-in-law. The dinner was ready, and I actually came out and I said, Sumit, I'm feeling really, really guilty. He said, for what? I said, on a typical Saturday, this is what a couple would either do together, or the lady would end up doing this, cooking a snack and something like that. And then he made me sit and, to aaram se baith, put your feet on the ottoman, you must be tired. I mean, at times I feel he's insanely good, and I hate him for that, because many a times during fight also, I feel he's very evolved than me. I'm not. So, so embrace. I mean, none of us is perfect. There are 20 things wrong in him, but 30 wrong in me. So when we negate it, it's 10 things which we have to live
with. Personality kahan se aaya aap mein, yaar? Because it's not normal. I see I heard a stat today and it blew my mind, and I want to test it on both of you, and anyone watching, try it out. If you take a pen and paper, I give you 30 seconds and you write the name of at least 3 divorced people you know, you'll be able to do it. 3. Can you do it?
Yeah.
I can do
In
it,
30 seconds,
yeah.
at least 3.
Yeah.
I promise you, you wouldn't have been able to do it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Far too many relationships fail, and here I am talking to someone who's super successful, married, 2 kids doing remarkably well. Right? There is a success story here which
Krishna,
I
the point
think
is,
The odds are highly against you.
what's your priority, Mario? I always feel like, for me,
what was your priority?
My priority is my family, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly.
Colonel Saab?
I would say he is ambitious. It's his number one priority is not family, but he is always supportive.
Can 2 ambitious people be in a relationship?
Yes.
Equally ambitious people can be in a relationship?
We are 2 ambitious people in a relationship. You have to know how to pivot your ambitions towards not interfering in your relationship.
So I would agree with that, because I would like to believe me and Disha are equally ambitious.
Yeah.
So it surprises me that there are times when the studio is not available. We shoot in my house. And Disha is like a COO in TripFact. She goes after it.
Yeah.
But those days when we're shooting at home, coffee chiye, chai chiye, main banati hu,
Yes.
keeping Kiara in check,
Yeah.
running around the house.
Yeah.
In fact, she's the one who goes and double checks and proofreads the podcast and all that.
Correct.
I'm like, well, you don't have to do it. She's like, of course I have to do it. Give me, I'll do it. And she does it voluntarily.
Yes.
So when she does it voluntarily, I also get surprised. I'm like,
Yeah.
you didn't have to do it. I'm like, of course I'll do it. It's not, and it wasn't even like I'm doing it for my husband. She's like, of course I'll do it. Come, give me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Not a second thought.
Yes.
And
so Krishna, like both of us are good Toastmasters. Like I would say we are fairly good Toastmasters. So this year Sumit will compete. Next year I'll compete.
oh, aise karoge? You won't compete with each other?
No, it's not a choice. See, because my daughter has 10th. So somebody has to step back. It's not that if I tell Sumit, he'll say no. But deep down my heart, I know him. He would want to do it this time. And it's fine. I'll step back. Like yesterday, I was in a meeting. He came and asked me what to cook for dinner. And I snapped at him. I'm in a meeting with my entire team and you're asking me what to cook for dinner. In a regular household, this would have been a fight.
Yeah.
But he did not say a word to me. And similar, if he is in a meeting and I come and say, I have to go and do something, if he snaps at me, I realize that what I did was wrong. You can't come in the middle of a meeting. And most important thing, Krishna, what I feel is when you look at how I am right and how the other person is wrong, instead of looking at the situational awareness, that if a person behaved in a specific manner, was I also responsible for that situation?
You don't have to win in a relationship.
You don't have to win. Like,
You're
I'm
right.
not here. We are not against each other.
Yeah.
It's not a battle going on that I have to prove I'm right or I have to prove that the other person is wrong.
I have to unfortunately say something on camera. I know I make a lot of fun of Mario Rosario, but today, one day, I'll say that one of the happiest moments of my life is when I feel like an absolute idiot. And today's episode was that. I have felt like an absolute idiot and enjoyed it, loved it, watching the both of you talk.
You brought the emotional intelligence part
Let
of
me
this.
finish.
Therefore, you are not
Didn't
an
the editor
idiot.
say don't interrupt when one is talking?
Correct.
So I want to thank the two of you for actually being friends with me. I have no idea how you guys agreed to be friends with me, because my IQ is here and you guys are way up here. But I thoroughly enjoyed today, and I hope you guys, if you had better IQ than me, maybe you enjoyed the first half an hour. Otherwise, maybe you just navigated to the last few minutes. But Dr. Meenakshi Arya, everyone, one of the most fun episodes we've shot. And we say it to all our guests, so now I guess we'll have to say it to her as well. We're going to have you on again.
We're going to have you on
Thank you.
again.
But
I don't think we are done.
It will be an absolute honor.
This was a very fun episode. Do check out the other episodes in the description links here.
Thank you.
Thank you.